Hey, it's me, Uncle Ricky. Look, how many times can somebody, you know, that's waiting to go to trial, get away with threatening the judges that sit over the trial, threatening the juries that sit over the trial, threatening the grand juries that decided that they did commit a crime and or were convinced enough that the potential of them actually committing a crime was worth a trial, that they should be run through the legal system because there's enough evidence to indicate that they did something wrong. In if it was normal, and I'm saying I'm including normal with like organized crime figures, regular citizens, street thugs, drug dealers, corrupt state and local politicians, even some federal politicians, senators and congressmen that have been caught in bribery schemes and sex schemes, whatever. They go into the justice system, and I'm not gonna say it's an equal system or that everybody gets a fair break or everybody gets tried the same way, but they go into the system and they come out on they go to trial, they present their case, the prosecution presents its case, it goes on, and either the jury makes a decision or the judge makes a decision, and then the verdict. And for the most part, that's how the system is supposed to function. Of course, there's the right of appeal afterwards, but the system does function. It may not function at the same speed for everybody concerned due to all different kinds of factors, but it does function. But now we have Donald Trump, who is unique because he is a former president and the first one in the almost 250-year history of this country to be criminally convicted. And now, irregardless of what a lot of people think, a lot of people thought that it wouldn't get this far. A lot of people think that he still shouldn't, because all he was doing was standing up for the rights of people like him, when in reality all Donald Trump was standing up for was himself. Maybe, and you can't even say he was standing up for him and his family, because it's becoming obvious that his family doesn't give a damn about anything but themselves. Their mother died. Not Trump has multiple children by multiple mothers. But the first three, Ivanka, Jared, and Eric, the three musketeers, their mother died. Trump buried her on golf course property to get a tax break because now the property is technically a cemetery. And you can't even see the headstone. It's not, the area isn't cordoned off. She's buried basically on the first hole of the golf course, off to the side, on the other side of the bunkers. It's overgrown. Grass is covering the headstone. Trump doesn't care. And none of the children have taken the time or made the effort, even though they have full access to all of the Trump golf properties, to clean up or have someone clean up their mother's grave. Sad. Very sad. Very unpresidential, like very, actually just abnormal. Unless you consider the fact that, one, the kids don't give a damn, and two, Trump hated his ex-wife for basically leaving him. I own you. This is my world, and you can't escape. Petty, petty, petty. And he exhibits this mentality with everything. It's not only a Donald Trump trait. If you look around, it's an authoritarian trait. All of these extreme right-wing MAGA politicians and wannabe MAGA politicians, and to a certain extent, quasi-normal Republican politicians. They don't want to be questioned. They don't want to debate. They just want to come out of their office, or in Donald Trump's case, out of his bedroom, and say, citizens, this is what you're going to do. This is what I want you to do. And regardless of what other, government rules and regulations we have, in my case, we suspend everything because what I say goes. And that's that's how Donald Trump acted. That's why Donald Trump told all the lies that he did, to reduce the questions, to reduce the resistance, to make it appear that he was the most forceful, most correct, he was actually probably the most corrupt, allegedly, individual in the United States. And now that he has been somebody, the nation has pulled his chain, and there is enough evidence to warrant trials, indictments, he has resorted to no longer using dog whistles. He is using full-blown bullhorns to unite his followers and whip them up into a frenzy and basically suggest that they commit violence. In other words, they go to the point of infringing upon other people's physical well-being, up until the point of possibly even having to kill their fellow Americans just to save his mangy hide. Just because the people on the right think that Donald Trump is the only one that can achieve the goals that they deem necessary to make this country a desirable place to live. And this is why we are in such an extreme, dangerous time, because the more Trump gets to take pot shots at people in public and get away with it, even though while he's under indictment, he's not supposed to intimidate or break any laws, and he's out there breaking laws every day. He's out there breaking instructions on, conditions of his pretrial release. And until somebody pulls him up short and actually throws him in jail, which maybe if you look at it overall, that may be what he really wants, to go to jail now, to light the fuse on the powder keg, to start the revolution by his followers now, because it seems evident that his long run plan to trick the next election and get back into the White House again and become the 47th and possibly the last president of the United States is crumbling before his very eyes, because his base is eroding, and Republicans that sat on the fence, Republicans that were quiet, Republicans that never liked him but bowed down for the sake of keeping their own position in the Republican Party, keeping their own positions in government, see a chance for breathing room, and they are railing against him, i.e. Chris Christie, i.e. Nikki Haley. Now, these two names, they were all in with Donald Trump, from the very beginning. Trump was God. Trump was the breath of fresh air that the country needed. But as time went on, they saw that their loyalty didn't stand up to shit, because when Trump got pressed, he threw everybody and anybody that he deemed necessary under the bus just to keep the spotlight off of him. And now he doesn't care if he drives the country into a civil war. He doesn't care if it becomes a shooting war. He's already said publicly when he was running for president, hey, I can kill somebody on Fifth Avenue. But because I'm Donald Trump, because I am the representative of what the people really want, nobody's going to do a damn thing to me. But now it looks like, at least on 4 different levels, you know, 2 federally and in 2 different states, New York and Georgia. Now, especially in Georgia, people feel like that Trump has done enough wrong things that something has to be done to him. And it seems that this thing in Georgia is really scaring him because, one, Trump had the federal government on lockdown using the power of the presidency. But because of the way that this country is put together, and because just like, you know, the Republican Party was all about you must comply, the rule of law, respect the blue, which now they want to defund the FBI and do away with CDC and burn the education department to the ground and totally gut the Department of Justice so they can further continue their reign of oppression and actual lawlessness. Donald Trump is saying that that very same government that he used as a sledgehammer against all opposition when he was the president is now, since he left the White House, all of a sudden, after 250 years for most of these agencies being in existence, that they are corrupt, that they are not needed, that they are useless, that they are the enemies of Trump, so therefore they should die. And people are taking this seriously, and they feel like because Donald Trump is their self-appointed God, Donald Trump is their leader for life, which that's what he wants in reality, that they are legitimate in going out and killing the opposition. And all of this is related directly to the words that come out of Donald Trump's mouth and that comes out of the mouth of his basic rabbit-ass supporters like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. These people are supposed to be government leaders. They're supposed to be lawmakers. But yet and still they are lining up with the most lawless political, evolution of a political party that there has been in our history. They are using, or they are glorifying murder, mayhem, blackmail, extortion, corruption, intimidation. These are the tools that one political party is adapting to preserve the image, the legacy, the life of Donald Trump. People are saying that they don't care what Trump does. That he could actually shoot somebody on the steps of the Capitol in broad daylight on TV, and they wouldn't give a damn because it's Donald Trump and he's their man. Sad. Where 2 years ago, 3 years ago, these people wanted other people that they considered to be the opposition, or people that didn't look like them, or people that didn't pray like them, thrown under the jail for exercising their First Amendment rights. And now, because it's Donald Trump being prosecuted by the very same justice system that Trump used to persecute people when he was the president, it's suddenly unfair. It's suddenly rigged. It's suddenly political obstruction of an election. When Trump, you know, they say projection is when people charge the opposition with the same crimes that they have already committed or that they are thinking about committing. And if you look at what Donald Trump is saying that the Democrats have done, what Joe Biden has done, with any group that he deems unfit or undeserving or not worthy of his recognition, then it's okay for him and his to do that to them. Hypocrisy, part of the problem is on both sides, left and right. Hypocrisy is the rule of the day. Corruption versus integrity, for now, seems to be the accepted moral or accepted character. It's acceptable. When 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, when most of us, the last of the boomers, were in school, we were taught to respect the government system. Even though the government has, doesn't treat everything fairly, doesn't treat the every portion of society fairly, there were efforts, there were laws made, there was progress in leveling the playing field for everybody. But under people like Trump, under people like MAGA, they don't want this, because the ability to stand on somebody else's neck and kick them in the teeth just because you feel like that when you get out of bed is necessary for them to feel fulfilled in life. It's necessary for them to feel that they have worth. Money and power do not make you a good person. Does not guarantee that your legacy will be remembered in a favorable light. You can claim the Bible, you can claim the Quran, you can claim the Talmud, but if you personally do not live by what is expressed in the writings in any of those books, when you only live by it when it's favorable to you, but you don't want to extend that same status or that same philosophy towards others, because when the others come at you, even if they are correct, even if they are only saying what they want to say for their own uplifting, but it doesn't agree with your idea of who should be in charge, or that is why this country is so screwed up. It's only fair when it applies to me. When you try to use the same thing that I say is good for everybody to promote your own self-interest, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, then all of a sudden now it's bad. Donald John Trump said he was the law and order president, said he backed the blue, and now that he has been revealed, now that his shit is out of the bag, now that the light has been turned on all of his darkness, he's trying to destroy the blue. He's trying to destroy the Department of Justice. He is trying to denigrate anybody that opposes him politically or philosophically. And my question is, the deeper he gets into the system, the more he threatens different people, different organizations, how long is it going to take before we get fed up and say, look, enough is enough. If you can't behave yourself if you can't stop endangering lives, because there are people that are willing to go out and kill for you. I don't understand why. I mean, I can't think of any American president that I would be willing to go out and kill for just because of the person. There may be some ideals I may be willing to defend with my life. There may be some people that I would be willing to defend for, with my life. Um, but it's not about. I'm not going to lay down my life for somebody that really has no good intent. That really is not concerned about my well-being. Trump has thrown his followers under the bus repeatedly. Documented. Trump has thrown this country under the bus repeatedly. Documented. Trump, the very same people that voted for Trump, that ran around in Trump t-shirts and Trump hats, waving Trump flags, doing Trump dirty work, Trump has ignored them and left them hanging. No pardons for you. No money for your lawyers, even though you're a lawyer and you got in trouble defending me, or you got in trouble working my schemes. No pay for you, Rudy Giuliani. No respect for you, Jenna Ellis, because you got caught. Trump once said about John McCain. John McCain got shot down over Vietnam, spent years in a POW camp. And a lot of people don't know, the North Vietnamese were willing to let McCain go because of McCain's political influence, McCain's family's political influence, trying to get leverage in the United States political system, in government, And John McCain said, no, I'm going to stay here. Now, regardless of, what John McCain did after that, that was a true symbolism of American courage. I'm going to stick with my fellow Americans, even though it may be to my own detriment. Trump would never be like that. Trump doesn't even want to pretend. It's all about me. Now, if you can get yours being about me, then fine. But if you want to come against me to pretend like, or to actually demand some things that you, according to the rules and regulations of this country, actually deserve, all men created equal, then, if you can't do that through me, or if you oppose the way that I do things, then I'm going to use my power to grind you into the ground, because I'm Donald Trump. I was the president, and if I have my way, I'll be the president again. And if you don't stop me, which I'm going to do everything I can to put enough people stupid enough to believe in me, between me and justice, and I can last long enough to make it into this election. And it seems that he's going to carry, unless a lot of stuff comes out and his poll numbers drop, and he's got like a 40-point lead over his nearest competition going into the Republican primary. If he gets nominated, then that drives us closer to a civil war, because if he gets nominated and processed through the system, and the system works like it should, and with the preponderance of evidence that they have against Donald Trump, if the courts work like they should, Donald Trump's going to be found guilty on something, and then we face the territory, the situation that we have never been in before, of can a presidential candidate run from jail, or can the president of the United States actually be become the president when he is a convicted felon. And I just use the term he because Donald Trump, according to all appearances, is a he. Although Stormy Daniels might say he's a lacking he. But, all that aside, America is at a point where one, you either have to accept democracy or you have to accept autocracy, knowing that it's leaning towards full-blown fascism and dictatorship. And the question is, what are the people going to stand for? Are they going to be about the good of the few, the good of the increase of riches, prominence, and power for a few at the expense of everybody else, at the expense of ignoring the plight of the rest of the country? In other words, is the 1% behind Trump or somebody that they deem, that is Trump-like, that, pushes the big, we are the rulers and the rest of y'all is dog shit? Where do we go from here? How do we get out of this without stabbing our own self in the back or cutting our own throats? How do we use the system that has been used against us for so long how do we take something that we have always thought that is basically unfair, like us, to us? And I'm not just saying us as in black people, but us as in maybe the not so rich, maybe just the common day, everyday people, the people in the middle that have basically made this country go from day one. How do we use that system that has been used, if not directly against us, used to keep us in check, keep us in line, keep us usable, viable, that has been used to make us sacrificial lambs, paying more taxes than the top 1%, even though that they got 98% of the wealth, 97% of the wealth in the country, and everybody else, the millions of other people, only have the 3% to do whatever they need to do to enrich their lives, to further their purposes, to shore up the cracks in the economy. It's amazing. If you think about it, you got to start to understand how much money this country really has. Because if 1% has 98% and the other 99% of the population has to fight over what's left, and still so much, even though it's not enough, so much gets done, it starts to point out how greedy, how evil that 1% is. Donald Trump allegedly has broken laws, and as time goes by, every day that goes by, more and more evidence comes out that he actually did break laws. And a lot of us in our minds, not even in the back of our minds, just in our minds, period, knew that this was going to happen when he came down the escalator in 2016. And now it's time for accountability. Not only accountability for Trump and his buddies for what they have allegedly done, but accountability for the whole U.S. government system. Well, that's it for me, Uncle Ricky. Thank you, and God bless, and peace out.